All right, good morning on this beautiful morning of February the 18th, 2025. We're coming to you from South Georgia, USA, and greetings to the entire world. We're out here in the greenhouse. It's a beautiful morning. It was about right at the freezing mark this morning, but it's very pleasant in here right now. I found a Celeste fig tree at Tractor Supply Company yesterday when I was in town, and they had 3 or 4 of them. But since I like to multiply my investment, I picked out one that had a very long main stem. It's probably about, I'd say, almost 7 feet. And there will be a number of cuttings that I can get from that. This one right here is already budding out. This one here is probably, no, might be dead. But you see, if I don't do anything but leave this one, maybe cut this one off right here, I'll still have a viable fig tree. So I'm going to root these, and I'm going to show you how I do it in the bellet grow bags. And the reason I'm using the bellet grow bags is because the totes that I put it in hold 8. And some of the other trays that I have that I'm potting in hold more than that. And I don't like to mix. Them. For instance, this one right here holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4 holds 20. Well, I don't have 20 cuttings. Here's one of the bellet grow bag ones, and that's 8. And I do have 8 cuttings. Now, I did mix these. That's an LSU Gold, and that's a Valdosta Mulberry. I don't like to do that, but I did because I didn't have a real choice. I didn't have that many. And I labeled them. Okay. All right, these are the bellet grow bags. I like these. They're cheap. The roots grow through them. They're a good size. They're just about right. And by using the little tote that I buy at Lowe's, I can put 8 of these in here. And this costs about $1 right here. So I don't want to pack it down. Oh, by the way, this Pro Mix BX, it's called Pro Mix BX. It costs about $1 a gallon, dry gallon by volume. It's the bale weighs 60 pounds, and I got just under $60 in it. Okay, so I fill it all the way up to the top. Then I give it a couple of little bumps, and then put it in there. And you have to kind of push these up a little bit. This one right here is not full, but I can fix that. I like to fill them up. I have my procedure, and as I learn different things, I can change my procedure, but I do like having a kind of a procedure rather than do it different every time. And I have successfully used this method right here. All right, so this Pro Mix BX, I just use it for rooted cuttings. I don't pot the bigger amounts in that. I use some of it, but I like to put some cheaper filler like the Miracle Grow potting mix and stuff like that. Because this is really good for rooting. In fact, that's really what it's made for. It says general purpose, but as I have said before, you can root plants in plain dirt. You can root them in sand. You can root them in water and then transfer. There's all kinds of ways of doing it. But I'm using this. A lot of the people on YouTube are using this to root their fig cuttings in. All right, grow bags in the tote, filled up and placed in there. They are malleable. You can scoot them around and ready to go. Now we are going to cut into the fig tree and get some cuttings. All right, I'm going to cut it way down here. And there's several nodes down here that a new tree can come out of. Now I'm going to separate it into different size into cuttings and see how many I've got. This right here. All right, so we'll get back to you in just a minute. All right, I'm separating them now into, I want 2 nodes below the ground. There's 1, 2, and 1 above the ground. So I'm going to cut it right about there. So that's 1. I like to cut the bottom one on an angle. 1. And see, these nodes here are separated by quite a bit. But if I want 2 below the ground and 1 above the ground, that's going to leave me with a cutting that long. And let's see. That's going to be a long one. But we're going to do it anyway. 2 below, and so we don't have to be too stingy. See, that one there is a 6 and 7 inches, but it'll work there. Okay, so now they say don't use a. See, here's the node right here, and all of this right here needs to be cut off, according to the experts on YouTube, because that piece that had no node would tend to rot. So now we've got 1, 2, and here's 3 right here. That's 3. Same thing here. This node here, we need to cut this excess off here at an angle. So here's 1, 2, and here's 3. Now a lot of them say put 2 above. 2 below and 2 above. Look, one thing, it'd make my cutting too long for this particular situation here. And another thing is, look, either this thing's got a viable bud or it doesn't. I don't see the point in having 2 of them. So we got 1, 2 below, and we got 1 above. Now that one right there is 5.5 inches. That's 4. Same thing here. All right, we're going to continue that until we get this cut up. All right, now comes the parafilm. We wrap the part that is above the ground with the parafilm M. Now you can get other parafilms, but for the money, I think this right here, 2 inches by 250 feet. And I'm going to need, I'm just guessing here, about that much. Now that 250 feet, 2 inches is way too wide for this. So I just cut it in half with my scissors. And this does have, I'm going to take my gloves off now because I'm going to be operating out of the dirt. And I need the extra feel of my fingers. All right, that's what I like. Parafilm M, you can get on the internet and order that right there. Shop around. Don't overpay for stuff. There are people out there that will take advantage of you not being patient enough to shop around. So you just kind of take this paper here that's on it. This right here keeps the parafilm from sticking together in the roll. So you have to take the paper off. Okay. Now the parafilm stretches. All right, we'll just start with this one. Sometimes I like to start at the top, and sometimes I like to start in the middle. I'm going to start this one at the top. Now this is a personal preference here. And okay, now you stretch it. See there? Stretch it. You can stretch it too far and break it. You'll learn. Now one, see it actually broke right there, the little hole in it. See the little hole? But we're not going to, that little hole. Now one layer over the bud. It will break through that one layer quite easily. But it will also, now see, these two are going to be below the ground. So I'm going to stop right about there. Give it one little wrap, a little stretch, and back on itself, and it will actually hold itself together. And then we're going to get our trusty razor knife. By the way, that same knife right there is very cheap. That's a Cobalt. You can buy these razor blades for very cheap. You need this kind of tool right here for whatever you're doing in the greenhouse. You can do grafting with this, and if you want a good sharp blade, this one here is still real sharp. A lot of them say give it a little scrape. This is the end that goes in the dirt. You see, it's the one that's cut on an angle. Some people on the internet are saying that they don't do this scraping and they have just as good a result. This one here has very pronounced little white spots. You see that right there? Apparently, and I don't know that I can say the name, but those little spots right there is a lot of times where the roots come out. Now, I'm not positive about this. I got to get let me get my good glasses on. Okay. All right. Now, see, this one right here has got buds on the nodes. See that bud? It's actually turning green a little bit. I've seen it both ways, but you can just take your fingernail or your knife. We want roots here. We don't want buds. And just cut that off right there. I've seen it both ways. But that will tend to grow a leaf there, that bud. Now, we want roots. And there it is. Now, we are going to take some rooting hormone. This is something I got at Walmart. Take Root is called. Now, the other one, the more I would say, I'm going to say professional one is called Root. What is that? Clonex. It's a purple powder. I mean, a purple syrup. And it's a little bit stronger in the active ingredient than this right here. But I guess nobody denies that figs will root even with no rooting hormone. The plant itself has what it takes. Now, we're going to go and I'll show you this procedure, and then I guess we're just going to pause and finish this up. All right, so usually I like to stick a little hole in there because it's a pretty good size cutting right here. Just kind of give it a little start there, and this has got to go all the way till that's below the soil level. And then I like to give it just a little bit right there. so that it is making good contact. And that's it. And I'll fill this tray up. The ProMix BX has already been wet, and it has been wet to the extent that it will form a ball when you squeeze it. You have to mix it up good. And also, if you squeeze it really hard, there's a couple of drops of water. I can get a couple of drops of water out of it. That, they say, is the perfect amount of moisture. All right.